Running a company of up to 10 employees brings its own set of unique challenges. And one of the ways that you can help to navigate those problems when they occur is by thinking and working on your communication skills as a leader. Now, when you're able to do that in a positive way, you can help transform confusion in your employees into clarity and confidence. And when you have employees within your company that work within clarity and confidence, you will find things like engagement, productivity, good vibes, great teamwork, problem solving, decision making, and being more self-sufficient. These things all occur and improve. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to write down on this side of the board things to stop doing with your communication as a leader, and then what you could do instead. It might be that you are already doing some of these. Hopefully you're already doing all of them, and you can just watch this video thinking, yep, I'm in the right place and I'm doing what I kind of know I should be doing. Nobody knows your business better than you do, but what I do know is that if you are doing any of the things in this side of the board when I write them down, then there is definite opportunity for improvement and growth, not just within your understanding as a leader and how you communicate, but also within your company, which is quite exciting as to what the ripple effect could be when you apply this stuff. So, first of all, we're going to say we got to stop telling. And instead, we need to start help people to understand. This is a mindset of anything else. Being able to put it into your head that if I tell somebody something, I need to help them understand, because once I'm able to help them understand, they may not need me to tell them again. For example, if I'm thinking to myself, right, I really want somebody to make sure they send an email at 4 o'clock every day. Like I say, you've got to send that email at 4 o'clock every day. Send that email at 4 o'clock every day. I'm telling you, send that email at 4 o'clock every day. Now, if that person doesn't understand why, then they're not going to have as much energy associated to that task. They might forget, it might not be important to them, they might not sense the urgency, and so instead with your communication, you could perhaps take an approach like this. You know, that client that we have, the best time to send them an email is at 4 o'clock, because that is when they are most receptive to emails. So that's the reason why we send it at 4 o'clock. It's also early enough that action can take place before the end of the working day, and not too late, and not too early that it gets lost in all the other tasks that that person does. So that's the reason why we do it at 4 o'clock. Now, when you help somebody understand, you take that little bit more time and effort and energy to explain, you'll get far better results than just telling. Now, a boss that's always telling won't necessarily achieve the backing of their employees. So that's the first thing that we need to know. Number 2, we need to stop blocking, and instead we need to encourage. The best way I can explain this is in a previous working life, when I was working as a fitness presenter, there was a little bit of a culture of blocking. It was like, I don't want you to be as good as you can be, so I'm going to almost hold you down so that you cannot improve, because I may be threatened or intimidated. Now, that does happen in the workplace, because some employers can be scared that their employees get too good that they then want to move on, or maybe they want to start their own company, or maybe one day they might be a competitor in whatever sense. So instead they block that enthusiasm, they block that real kind of brightness within that person to want to try things and put suggestions across. So anytime that somebody gives you a suggestion, even if that suggestion is not going to work and you know it, could be an awful suggestion, right? The fact that that person has actually put something across and shown that they care, not just about their interests, but your interests and the company's interests as a whole, should always be encouraged, because it might not be that that individual comes up with a groundbreaking idea, but it might be that that individual puts in that extra 15 minutes when we really needed it as a team to achieve that last minute deadline. Whereas if they felt like they're always getting blocked out, they might not be willing or wanting to do that whatsoever. So it does bring more brings more team, more ethic, more positive values to the workplace if you're able to encourage instead of blocking any suggestions, even if they aren't very good ones. Number 3, we should stop using assuming questions, and we should start asking open questions. An example of this would be, do you think that's a good idea? Yeah. Or, we're not going to do that. No. Are we? No. Or something similar to that, where you're almost explaining the answer before they've even answered, and it's either a yes or no. It's very closed question. Another example, and a very subtle one, could be like an "are you" question. Are you going to do that? Are you okay with that? Do you understand that? All of these questions are yes or no questions, and although, we could get to where we want to go with a yes or no question, it is far more polite, it's far softer, and far easier for somebody to trust when you ask an open question. A closed, assuming question is very defensive in response. We are programmed to defend ourselves whenever we feel like we are threatened. So in a working environment, if we feel nervous about a task, or we're a bit unsure, or we haven't done it and we know we should have, and we're asked a yes or no question, we can get a little bit defensive in our stature, in our energy, and in the way that we move and work. So we can alleviate some of that stress, make it easier for somebody by asking an open question. For example, how are you getting on with that particular project? What help do you need with that project or task? Who was the last person that you helped with that particular thing? What is it that I can do to make it easier for you? What is it that you are struggling with? How can I possibly make this easier for you? These are examples of open questions that will get tangible, useful information as a response, rather than either a yes or a no, which might not even be true. They might be covering how they really feel, and you'll never achieve that trusting loop of communication if you aren't using open questions. Number 4, this is a little bit obvious, but we should stop talking down to employees if you want to improve your communication productivity within your company, and we should actually start talking up. Now, when I say talk up, I'm not necessarily meaning, you've got to be stood behind them cheering them on every time they send an email and, playing Rocky IV music whenever you're together in the office. But what I am saying is, be aware of when your position within the company might feel like you're talking down to somebody, or the importance of their task, or how they sort of fit into the bigger picture, and might feel like they're not as significant as you or other people. And instead, we need to almost invert that triangle and remind ourselves that as business owners, we are nothing without our staff. Can you imagine doing everything that your company does on your own? Can you imagine how bad that, I can imagine how bad that would be. I know that my guys, my team here at Tide 55 are Tide 55. They are what make us work every day. They are how we deliver our promises to our clients at such a high level like we do. And so understanding and respecting that, and just reminding ourselves of that, allows us actually to talk up to that human being that, by the way, has chosen, because it is a choice, to work for you. And so you can change your attitude towards them by talking them up, by praising and empowering and reminding them of how important their efforts and energy are to the bigger picture of the entire company. Showing that little bit of value, that little bit of gratitude can go a very long way, and it is often reciprocated in the way that people feel within the company and act towards you as the leader. So that is a really, really important one. Should be obvious, but it isn't, and a lot of people get that wrong. Finally, the last one is a little bit controversial, but in some cases, we actually need to get out of our own and their way and stop helping, but instead empower. There's a very easy way to explain this and a very easy way to apply it, and it comes in the form of a single question. The question is, what do you think we should do about it? Because in this instance, an example that I'm sharing, it's when somebody isn't sure what to do, so they just ask the boss. They just come to you and say, what do I need to do about this? Or, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. I'm not sure what the right thing is. The question, what do you think we should do about it, might just let someone figure it out for themselves. Now, I don't say that in a patronizing way. I say that in an empowerment way, because often your employees already know the right answer. Often they already have an idea of how they could sort this situation out, or the best way that they would approach, but they're just unsure as to whether they have the rank or the permission or the authority to make that decision, and they probably don't want to get it wrong. Now, these are all great qualities to have versus someone that just didn't care and just made flippant decisions all the time. So that should be encouraged, and it should be nurtured in the form of empowerment. And the question, what do you think we should do about it, will help that relationship and understanding and empowerment to grow from a really positive place of leadership. Now, again, you might be doing some of these, you might not be, but I really hope that what I've shared with you has either reinforced what you're already doing well, or given you an idea of what you could improve in order for the greater good of your company to thrive and succeed. This sort of thing here is one of the many modules that we cover when we are working with our business development clients on a consulting basis. When that happens, we identify the key objectives over a 6 or 12-month period, and then we roll through the necessary and relevant modules whilst keeping that one-to-one contact in order to improve the overall success of the company. If you've liked what I've talked about and you want to know how some of this might apply to your company, do get in touch. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you about how we can help. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next time.